Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to Syriana Analysis. I'm your host, Kevork Almassian. Thank you very much for tuning in to today's live streaming. I appreciate you all, whether you're watching this stream on YouTube or on Rumble. And it's a beautiful day for me as well, as I passed the theory exam of my driving license exam, which is crazy that I have been living in Germany for around 10 years now, and I haven't felt the urge to have a driving license to drive a car here. And here we go. Today was the theory exam, and I wanted to postpone this live streaming 2 hours to prepare it in the best way possible. But then I realized that I am able to cover this case comprehensively, although this has happened last Thursday night. And on Friday, I was a little bit ill and I couldn't really make a live streaming, so I apologize for that. But I collected so much material about this case, particular case, and it shows us the blatant lies of the mainstream media, the blatant lies of the so-called rules-based international order officials who are lying to our faces while we can watch and see and document what is happening at the current moment, be it in Amsterdam or in other places, in Ukraine, in Lebanon, in Palestine, in Syria, in Iran, everywhere around the world. It seems that there is a type of an infection that has hit the mainstream press and the politicians, that they have become pathological liars. Like there are certain instances that they don't really need to lie, and despite that they do, which is really mind-boggling, because this is only tarnishing their own reputation, their image, their status as the guardians of the rules-based international order, as people and influential politicians who have an invested interest in keeping the rest of the world attached to their so-called rules, so to their so-called financial institutions, to their so-called values, right? And despite that, they lie with a straight face to the rest of the world to make other people more detached from them, as if they are just committing suicide, to be honest with you. Now, you know that today's live streaming is going to be about the Amsterdam incident, but it goes deeper. It goes deeper, and I picked and chose this topic because it shows us that the press is unreliable. And it shows us that these politicians are ready to go as far as possible, and probably as far as it is impossible, for them to protect Israel and to protect any criminal, provocateur, any someone who is from Israel, maybe break the law. Then we cannot really like send this guy to trial because he's from a certain religion. Like, this is getting out of control, right? This is really goes deeper than just a lie here, a manipulation there, and fake news here and fake news there. No, it goes deeper, and it shows us and shed light for us to see how far they are willing to go. If Israel kills the entire Palestinian population, then they will do nothing about it. Because if we watch with our bare eyes what the Israeli football hooligans have done in the streets of Amsterdam, documented on video, and with the report of the police in Amsterdam, and many Dutch activists and just bystanders have made videos telling us what they have seen, and despite that, you turn on your TV, or I go to X to see what these officials and media outlets say about Amsterdam. It's like 180-degree opposite of the reality. And I'm not really shocked, because I'm a Syrian at the end of the day. And when I was in Syria and been following the mainstream media's coverage of the Syrian war, I have seen a 180-degree opposite of the reality. Not some manipulations or playing on the words, not some persuasion or using certain terminologies to add flavor or sentiments or send some subconscious messages. No, in 180-degree, the opposite of the reality. You see with your eyes what's happening in the street, and you watch your TV and they're telling you exactly the opposite. So I'm not shocked that they're lying about what happened in Amsterdam past week. But we have to address this and shed light on it, because then we understand that there is a big club, and this club is ready to go to the end. They are ready to sacrifice their own reputation, their own image, and their own status for the sake of protecting their, I don't know, ally? Israel? I don't know if it's true to call them an ally. I want to show you some of the tweets made by the officials. The officials of the rules-based international order, and what have they said and posted on X about these hooligan clashes in Amsterdam last Thursday. So this is coming from a page called Zionism Observer. And of course, the first tweet should come from Justin Trudeau. He says, the news out of Amsterdam last night is horrifying. This is a dark moment for our world, and one we have seen before. My heart goes out to the victims and the entire Jewish community today. Canada condemns this disgusting anti-Semitism. Now, we have read only the first tweet by Justin Trudeau, right? But I want you to see how the script is united among all these officials and all these talking heads and all these so-called politicians. They are using the same words. First, it's horrifying, it's outrageous, it is anti-Semitism, and they will go even further by calling it a pogrom. So Justin Trudeau is outraged and he's horrified. The Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, says there is no place in our world for anti-Semitic attacks like those against Israeli soccer fans in Amsterdam yesterday. The United States stands with the Dutch and Israeli governments in strongly condemning these horrible acts of violence and anti-Semitism in all its forms. If he really stands with the Dutch government, I think the Dutch police is part of the Dutch government, which said clearly that the fight and the provocations started from the hooligans of the Israeli team. President Biden, of course, he probably tweeted this in his sleep, because surely 100% he didn't post this. Somebody else has crafted this text for him. He says, the anti-Semitic attacks on Israeli soccer fans in Amsterdam are despicable and echo dark moments in history when Jews were persecuted. Ursula von der Leyen, of course, she's outraged, horrified, outraged, the same words. Just check the similarities in the word. Outraged by last night's vile attacks targeting Israeli citizens in Amsterdam. David Lammy, I'm horrified. See? Outraged, horrified by last night's anti-Semitic attacks on Israeli citizens in Amsterdam. My thoughts are with those injured, their families, and everyone affected. This is, I think, from the Minister-President of Netherlands. It's in Dutch. For sure, it's similar. We have Bundeskanzler Olaf Scholz. Die Meldungen über Gewalt gegen israelische Fans in Amsterdam sind unerträglich. Das dürfen wir nicht hinnehmen. Wer Judinnen und Juden angreift, greift uns alle. If somebody attacks a Jewish person, then attacks us all. Judinnen und Juden müssen sich in Europa sicher fühlen können. The Jews should feel safe in Europe. Senator Penny Wong. Senator Penny Wong is the leader of the government in the Senate from the Australian Minister for Foreign Affairs. Violence in all its forms is unacceptable. The anti-Semitic attacks on Israeli soccer fans in Amsterdam overnight are abhorrent. Emmanuel Macron. I forgot, by the way, how to read French. I used to read good French, but I mean, he's talking about the violence against the Israeli football fans in Amsterdam are appalling and blah, blah, blah. The same thing. This is all about history, and we have seen this in historical context. Now, Geert Wilders, the most vile, in my opinion, and the most Zionist leader in Europe, a pogrom in the streets of Amsterdam. So he was the one who went one step further and called it a pogrom. We have become the Gaza of Europe. Muslims with Palestinian flags hunting down Jews. Karl Nahmer, he is the chancellor or the chancellor of Austria. We strongly condemn anti-Semitic violence wherever it occurs, in particular when it takes place in the context of a sport event that should bring people together. These days, we are reminded even more of our historic responsibility. You see, it's all going back. Like we are living now in historical times, and this is the repetition of the pogroms. And then you have the IPAC tracker, which documented all the Congress members who tweeted similar things. Ambassador Linda Thomas, Ambassador Deborah Lipstadt, German Foreign Ministry Sebastian Kurz. It's just endless condemnations, mischaracterization of what happened in Amsterdam by the officials who are lying to our faces. We are the ones who should be horrified and outraged by these blatant lies. And we are the ones who should be outraged and terrified by these lies and the capitulation and the weaponization of the history and the distortion of the events now. And when the pogroms happened, there were victims. There were people who suffered immensely. They are using the suffering of these people to justify current events, whether it's in Gaza or in Palestine or also in Lebanon, Syria, and now in Amsterdam. They're bringing past events, tragic, horrific past events, to justify what's happening nowadays in the world. And that's what should terrify us and horrify us, and we should be outraged by that and not the other way around. What happened really in Amsterdam is completely different, because if you watch the mainstream media, it was an anti-Semitic pogrom, and the Israeli football fans were hunted and beaten in the streets for no other reason than being Jewish. So Western leaders, we saw them all, Joe Biden, Ursula von der Leyen, Justin Trudeau, and all of them, they rushed to express their support, and they all made the bold allegation that Europe is headed straight for a repeat of the Nazi horrors of the 30s and 40s. And to be honest with you, if this was really the case, then it should horrify us, right? But the Israeli fans were not really the victims of an unprovoked attack. They were the ones who started violent clashes against ordinary people, even Dutch people, by trespassing, by taking down flags, by chanting genocidal songs. And I'm going to show you all of this, right? So, and everybody knows that these Maccabi Tel Aviv fans and hooligans, they are very extremist and they are very racist against the Arabs. And they have engaged in the past with similar acts and vandalism and attacks against people in Athens, for example. We have documented this in a few months back, right? So they are known for their hostility against the Arabs and against the Palestinians, and they were singing genocidal songs during when they were marching in the streets. And they have taken down Palestinian flags. They act in a very provocative way against the residents of Amsterdam. They have attacked taxi drivers who are mostly from the Arabic community in Amsterdam. And this was all confirmed and reported by the police. And there was one report by one single mainstream media outlet, the Sky News, which reported it and then deleted the video. But I'm going to show you the deleted video now in this stream. So the Maccabi fans, basically, they chanted anti-Arab slogans, and which included direct threats and openly genocidal language such as, quote, I'm quoting, right? Let the IDF win to F the Arabs. And secondly, quote, there are no schools in Gaza because there are no children left. Let the IDF win to F the Arabs, and there are no schools in Gaza because there are no children left. They want to portray these people, these hooligans, these radicals, these racists as the victims in the press and by these politicians. And there was also something extra that they did during the match, just before the start and the kickoff of the match. The stadium, they called for a minute of silence for the victims of the hurricane in Spain and the floods. And the Maccabi fans, they were whistling and celebrating, and they refused to stand 1 minute of silence for the victims of Spain, because Spain recognizes Palestine as a state. Imagine that. So this should lead us to believe that these Western authorities and media outlets framing these attacks as solely anti-Semitic violence is not only misleading, but it is politically very dangerous, in my opinion. And the first debunking of this case came from the police of the Netherlands itself, of Amsterdam itself. So Arnold August says, so we are not crazy. Amsterdam police confirms that we are right. Take a look what the police has to say in this case.
Supporters wordt op het rokin een vlag van de gevel gehaald en ze vernielen een taxi. Op de Dam wordt de Palestijnse vlag in brand gestoken.
On the day of the match, a large group of Maccabi fans gathered in Dam Square in central Amsterdam. Some arrests were made after trouble between the Israeli club's fans and pro-Palestine protesters, police said. Then, on their way to the match, some Maccabi fans were filmed singing racist and anti-Arab songs.
Maccabi supporters wordt op het rokin een vlag van de gevel gehaald en ze vernielen een taxi.
So, the Maccabi fans were engaged in taking down Palestinian flags from the buildings and destroying a taxi and vandalization there. So they have engaged in provocations, trespassing first, vandalization, and also provocation through racist chants against the Arabs, and promising to kill all the Arabs. Let the IDF win to F the Arabs. And if you were an Arabic person and walking there, I'm 100% sure that you would at least not be pleasant to hear these songs in the streets of Amsterdam, especially when you live in Amsterdam, right? But the crazy part of this is that the Mossad, basically, they send agent with them, agents, not only an agent, agents, just in case. This was on November 5th. So it happened before the attacks, right? The match was on the 7th of November. And on the 5th of November, the Jerusalem Post says Mossad agents to join Maccabi Tel Aviv FC trip to Amsterdam. What were they doing? This is a serious question. Like, I really don't think that these Mossad agents have accompanied the Maccabi fans just for tourism, right? And it doesn't stop here, because there are also IDF soldiers. They were IDF soldiers among the Maccabi hooligans. So Israel Genocide Tracker, they have documented some of the IDF soldiers who were present in Amsterdam and they were fighting in Gaza, right? So Israeli reservist Eliav Klein served in Golani Battalion 51 in Gaza genocide and the invasion of southern Lebanon, was involved in recent riots, Maccabi Tel Aviv fans in Amsterdam. So this is the guy who was in Amsterdam. And as you can see, he is an IDF active soldier. And he was in the Gaza Strip participating in the war of extermination against the Palestinians and also in Lebanon. You see? So Bro was basically in Amsterdam now, looks very cool, like he's just a modern person, and he has done nothing, and then blah. He was a soldier fighting with the Israeli occupation forces against the Lebanese people and the Palestinians. He's also a DJ, of course. Look how cute he is. I mean, how can you even suspect that he probably has done anything wrong, right? Because he plays probably some techno music or some electronic music. So we have to take him into the category of civilized people. But now we watched this and we read these tweets, these posts, and the coverage, some of the coverage, and we know that they were Mossad agents with the hooligans, Israeli hooligans, and they were also IDF soldiers, and also the social media influencers, basically those who support Israel unconditionally, or they are paid, basically. And if you observe carefully what they have crafted and what they have written on social media platforms in the past days, every single one of them has been parroting the exact same words: horrified, outraged, anti-Semitism, pogroms, etc., about the Amsterdam street clashes. Is this a coincidence? I don't think so. And I think they follow a script, a coordinated media campaign, plain and simple. And just ask yourself, I mean, what were Mossad agents and Israeli soldiers doing among the football hooligans, right? Were they there to ignite the violence? Or it was a coincidence? I think we shouldn't pretend that foreign intelligence agents were just on a casual visit to Amsterdam. If you ask me why Mossad agents were involved in such an operation in Amsterdam, I think it's not really difficult to understand. It is very clear that Israel has revived the vibes of post 9/11. And now the demonization, I forgot this light open, okay. The demonization of Muslims and Islam as a whole has become the official state policy of Israel. And they are pushing for it day and night. And they are trying to make the European people now afraid and divide them into migrants and non-migrants. And this is why when the German government passed the law of anti-Semitism a few days ago, they clearly state in it that this is a migrant-imported anti-Semitism. It's clear there, it's there. And they accuse the people in North Africa and Middle East of being indoctrinated on anti-Semitism. They don't mention that there are many Arabic countries have abandoned Palestine a long time ago. They normalized ties with Israel, and they are repeating and recycling let's say, or pro-Israeli and pro-American narratives day and night. They don't say these things. They don't say that there are influential media outlets in the region. Their job, and those are Arabic speaking, their job is to attack and criticize and discredit the Palestinian factions and the Lebanese factions, and they say armed struggle is not fruitful, and we want to make peace with Israel, this and that. But they are here now in plain sight. They are telling us that this is an important anti-Semitism, and they want to create this rift between the European people and the Muslim people. This is my opinion. By creating such provocations in Europe, they are creating the impression that the Jewish people are unsafe because of the migrants. I mean, nobody wants to mention that the Israeli side is the one engaged in a war of extermination against the Palestinians. And what happened in Amsterdam? 5 people were injured with some punches. That's it. They have made the issue, and why it happened. That's the real issue, right? That they don't want to mention. Like, they want to give the impression that they were some ordinary Jewish people walking in the streets, and then people attacked them because they were Jews. No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. And there is a Jewish activist who posted about this a video. Her name is Katrin Bogen, and she lives in Europe, and she made a video about herself being a Jew and how does she feel in Europe. Is she insecure, or she feels normal as being a Jew? Take a look.
I say this as a Jewish person. What happened in Amsterdam was not a pogrom. It was a around and find out. I'm a Jewish girl. I've spent plenty of time in Europe. I'm 100% confident I can travel safely throughout Europe. You know why? Because I'm not running around town screaming and pulling down residents' flags. I'm not in a huge group of aggressors chanting death to Arabs. Nobody would ever catch me singing a jingle about the dead children of Gaza. And in general, I wouldn't be walking around trying to be a vile, violent nuisance to the locals. I know, I could post up on any public street corner and light my Shabbat candles and wear my Star of David and invite people to say the Mourner's Kaddish and talk to them about being a Jew against genocide, and I would be fine. I would be fine. I would be absolutely safe. I could identify myself as a Jew, as so many people have done, by the way, at pro-Palestine rallies and protests, and either be welcomed or ignored. I'm thinking about that woman who tried to like disrupt the protest by wearing the I'm a Jew shirt and everyone just walked around her.
Yeah.
That would be the experience. I'm talking a spectrum from confused disinterest to neutrality to being welcomed warmly with open arms. Because that's what happens when you're not a dick. This is some boy who cried wolf shit.
So it seems that who, in whichever religious group you belong to, and if you are a group of men going to attend a football match as hooligans, and it seems that if you walk in the streets and you're calling for the death of other people and trespassing and taking down flags from the balconies of the residents, and also singing genocidal songs and endorsing the extermination of the Palestinian people or any other people, it seems that if you do such things, there might be some consequences against you. At least this could be translated into people's urge to punch one or two of them in this case, because people, not all people can, I'm someone who is very peaceful, by the way. If somebody doesn't really attack me physically, I don't attack people. And if I see someone like this is telling me to my face that, oh, your parents deserve to die, you in Syria deserve to die, you Lebanese deserve to die, let the IDF, the Palestinians, this and that, I would say this guy is a psychopath and is mentally unwell, How would I even deal with such a person? So I just say, okay, yalla. But some people cannot really control their nerves, and some people just use their arms when they hear such things, especially if somebody has a victim in his family, probably in the Middle East. And rest assured, millions of people perished in the past few decades by American and Israeli wars, and many of these people are migrants now or refugees in Europe are the consequence of these wars. So there might be some of the victims that thought that they should take this issue with their own hands. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying some people could take the issue with their own hands and try to solve it with their own hands. And you cannot really control the street when you're acting like an ass, right? Dr. David Miller, who was discharged from his position at the university in the UK, and he was accused of anti-Semitism, and then he sued his own university and he won the trial against his own university. And he made the criticism of anti-Zionism as a legitimate act in the UK, according to a court ruling, which is very good for the UK. He says, now we know that Mossad were involved in Operation Ajax. The mission was to ignite hysteria. The mission is to ignite hysteria across Europe about non-existent Judeophobia using incitement by Maccabi Tel Aviv affiliated Zionists. There are some obvious consequences that must follow. He says that Zionist colonists must be expelled from UEFA and FIFA. And this is a good point, by the way. If Russia is kicked out of FIFA and the UEFA and other tournaments for its war in Ukraine, then why is Israel even part of the FIFA? When the war, CIA initiated the regime change war against Syria, the Syrian Federation had money in the FIFA. and they froze the assets of the Syrian sport federations for an imposed war on Syria. Have they done anything similar to Israel? No. Have they kicked out the Israeli teams like they do with Russia? No. So the hypocrisy is very disgusting in this case, right? And secondly, he says, if the institutions do not do their duty of de-Zionizing football by the stroke of a pen, the people will take care of it through material de-Zionization on the streets. He says, last night's response by the brave Muslim communities of Amsterdam was necessary but extremely measured and not at all proportional to the genocidal violence unleashed by Zionist terrorists on the Levant, on Muslims worldwide, or indeed in the provocations that preceded the measured response. Future incidents will likely involve a more proportional response. Now, I heard that this Maccabi, let's see the next match of Maccabi Tel Aviv. I think this is going to be the next match in, oh shit. It is going to be actually in Beşiktaş. So no, I think, yeah. It's going to be in Turkey. So it seems that in Turkey, they're going to receive some backlash about this case for sure. It's a wave that has broken all the walls of fear, and it's very difficult now to stop it. People have lost their this inner fear to speak against these crimes, right? And the people are no longer caring about these accusations of anti-Semitism because it has become it has been taken out of its context and its meaning, and it has been weaponized against political speech and against peaceful political speech and against the people who are against the war of extermination against the Palestinians, right? So people, in my opinion, have become braver and braver by time. And this was the first time that a street clash happened because of such similar incident. We don't know how could this develop in the future, but I would say that Israel and the Zionist state, they have an invested interest in creating such clashes in Europe to try to shape the public opinion into a direction that claims that the migrant communities are anti-Semitic, in the hope that they would create a rift in European societies between the locals and the migrant communities. Are they going to succeed in that? I highly doubt it, because despite the fact that they hold a strong grip over the media, the people have seen it with their own eyes. There were thousands of people in the streets watching and seeing what happened. And most people have social media nowadays, and they can see and they can watch these videos and see the truth. So the persuasion and the manipulation have become more difficult for them than it used to be in the past. That's why they're trying to, they're trying to bring new laws to suppress speech and bring monitoring and suppression on social media platforms, one of which is now X. I think they succeeded against TikTok. TikTok has become really BS. I was posting some short videos on TikTok. Anytime I use the word Israel or Palestine or Gaza or Lebanon or anything in the caption or in the speech when I'm speaking or saying something, the video gets suppressed. Like only a few hundred people can see the video. If I don't use these words, then the video skyrockets, right? So it's pretty clear that they have an AI system now to suppress certain content on TikTok. Probably they have similar thing on X, I don't know, but to be fair, the only platform where I get the full picture of what's happening around the world and only platform where I speak my mind without fear is on X. And you know that I am like 180-degree the opposite side of Elon Musk when it comes to Palestine. But despite that, I'm able to speak for now. Let's see what is going to be the case in the future. But for now, this is the case. And I think that if anyone has an account on X, it's impossible not to see the entire truth. It's impossible. Now, I'm going to show you the video that Sky News has deleted. So the Sky News posted the truth about what happened in Amsterdam, right? And they deleted it. Our friend Weird Reed says Sky News has edited and re-uploaded a new version of their video on the violence in Amsterdam, claiming the previous edit didn't meet Sky News standards for balance and impartiality. In other words, they changed it to be more sympathetic to the Israeli rioters who instigated the violence and added an entire minute of Israeli propaganda. This change offers unique insight into how the mainstream media takes cues from the Israeli lobby to brainwash their viewers and deprive them of crucial content. Here is how they did so. Previously, the video stated, this is how the video which was deleted, this is what it was mentioned in the deleted video. On Wednesday, social media videos verified by Sky News showed Maccabi Tel Aviv fans tearing down Palestinian flags from outside of homes. In the updated version, they say Maccabi Tel Aviv fans has been replaced by 3 men. So they replaced the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans to not give the impression that they were Israeli, and they replaced it by 3 men. In an effort to mislead viewers into thinking the vandals who can be seen wearing the Israeli team's colors were unaffiliated with the hooligans. A section which stated that other social media videos appeared to show residents chasing Maccabi Tel Aviv fans was replaced with a section that no longer mentions the fact that those chasing them were Amsterdam residents. Instead, they claim the video shows a man being chased through the street with a caption that reads, "Watch and enjoy, 6 Zionists chased away, free Palestine." Anyways, I'm going to show you the video actually, which was deleted by the Sky News, and this is everything you need to know about how they receive probably a phone call or a criticism or lobbying from the Israeli lobby. And even media channels like Sky News, they cannot really tell you the entire truth. If they say the truth, then they will be questioned and asked, and they will be lobbied against, and they will be forced to delete it and edit it and add new segments and new sentences to the original one in order to make it look better for the Israeli hooligans. Take a look. This is the original one.
Violence in Amsterdam left at least 5 people injured and dozens have been arrested. But what happened? Supporters of Israeli football club Maccabi Tel Aviv arrived in Amsterdam ahead of their UEFA Europa League match against Amsterdam club Ajax. On Wednesday, social media videos verified by Sky News show Maccabi Tel Aviv fans tearing down Palestinian flags from outside of homes. Other social media videos appeared to show residents chasing Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. On Thursday, just before the game, crowds of Maccabi fans were filmed singing racist and anti-Arab songs. While a pro-Palestinian demonstration had been banned by the mayor over fears there would be clashes. Later that evening during the match, Israeli supporters appeared to disrupt the minute silence for Valencia flood victims with chants, whistles and fireworks. Maccabi fans were seen attacking locals as a police car can be seen driving by. People with Palestinian flags were seen marching on the streets. Maccabi supporters say they were beaten and attacked on the streets of the Dutch capital, with videos showing some of the violence.
Say free Palestine and we go. Good.
Sky News could not independently verify all of the footage shown. Police arrested 62 people. 5 were taken to hospital, but have since been discharged. Israeli far-right ultras are notorious for their racism and physical violence. Dutch, Israeli and British leaders denounced the attacks as anti-Semitic and even referred to it as a pogrom. But their statements failed to mention the assaults by the Israeli hooligans against Dutch citizens.
So this was the video reportage of Sky News, which they later deleted after probably a phone call from someone. and they edited it and they posted another one adding 1 minute different voiceover and interviews and trying to whitewash the racism, the provocations, and the vandalism of the Maccabi football fans. But the world can see through the lies. I don't know who has to hear this. The people can see through the lies. It's very unproductive for them. And one of the people who came and spoke up against it is the stand-up comedian, actress, writer Paula Bell. She is a native of Los Angeles, and she spoke her mind about these recent events in Amsterdam. And yeah, they don't want for people like her now to come and speak and push against this narrative. But as I mentioned, the wave is too strong now for them to stop. Right, the wave of criticism and the way of breaking the fear is too big and too strong for them to control and manipulate the people. So, see how the people are speaking nowadays.
Humanity reared its head in Amsterdam. We won't accept your delusion. We don't accept your hatred of Palestinians, of Lebanese, Muslim, or Arab. We don't, we won't, and we never will. Your disgusting disregard, your civil disobedience, your absolute disdain for human life was met head on in Amsterdam. While other governments like Germany try to quickly pass laws saying we are not allowed to criticize your ill behavior and deceit, the world in Amsterdam rose up and lashed out in anger at your complete disregard for human life and the killing of Palestinians and Lebanese people. We don't accept our government's complicity. We are all now, the world is now Gaza, and we do not accept your delusion. We are humanity.
We don't accept your delusion. We are humanity. So people have broken this barrier of fear and they're speaking out loud, especially that people can also Google the past events, right? Like if you remember what happened a few months ago, this was in March 2024. March 2024, these same football fans of Maccabi, they went to Greece. And Israeli football fans assault man with Palestinian flags in Athens. A group of Israeli football team, Maccabi Tel Aviv supporters, assaulted a man carrying a Palestinian flags in Athens on Thursday. The victim was injured and hospitalized. The incident took place at Syntagma Square. Maccabi Tel Aviv was scheduled to compete against Greece's Olympiacos in the Europa Conference League. So they have been doing this over and over again. This is nothing new, and the people can see and correlate with the past events and come to their own conclusions. And people also can see through other things. I'm going just not to show you the video, but going to tell you this is in the Tel Aviv airport. And those are the victims of the pogrom, right? The alleged pogrom. And they arrived in Tel Aviv after the evacuation by the Israeli government. And they are singing, why did they close the school in Gaza? There is no kids left. So they are repeating the same song like they have not learned. And they're going to repeat it over and over again. This was in the Israeli airport once they arrived in Tel Aviv. I think this is very, very frustrating to see the way they are covering this case. But it also, I think this is why I made this video, because this is beyond football or hooliganism, you know, like it happens in every country. The Israeli Maccabi fans, they, in my opinion, they exposed the length or the lengthy governments in the so-called international rules-based international order, and the media will go to protect the reputation of these hooligans, the country of Israel, which and how much they are like ready to go to protect Israel and be complicit with Israel in its war of extermination and subjugation of the Palestinian people. And we haven't seen anything like this. Like seriously, in modern times, I don't think we have seen anything like this documented on video and people can see to everything. I think there are multiple other things that I want to speak with you. However, if you're watching the live chat, guys, I have set up a questionnaire for you. I'm doing these live streamings at 5 p.m. Central European Time, 11 a.m. Eastern American Time, right? And I'm wondering, just for the viewers, those who are watching this live streaming, is the time 5 p.m. Central European Time, 11 a.m. Eastern American Time is suitable for you? Or do you want me to make it at 6 p.m. Central European Time, 12, for example, noon in Eastern American Time, or 19 or 20 or 21? I already put this questionnaire in the live streaming. You can vote. Please vote and let me know, because I'm seeing some of the live streamings at night, for example, 9 p.m. Central European Time, which is like 3 p.m. Eastern American Time, or 10 p.m. Central European Time, which is 4 p.m. in Eastern American Time. And the number of the views joining the live streaming is way higher. So I'm wondering, if I do my live streamings at a later time, would it be better for you? Just please vote. That would be really appreciating. I would really appreciate it. And if you're liking this live streaming so far, it takes like a one step with your press with your finger on the like button. That would be very, very helpful for me, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to show you a last video by Bushra Sheikh, and she explained this perfectly, how this issue of the Israeli Maccabi funds has exposed the governments and the media in the West, and how far they are ready to go to protect Israel in this case. And this is why I'm making this live streaming, to show you the extent they are ready to go to protect Israel. Take a look.
I'm just utterly disgusted. Now, from the surface, it's just going to seem like a bunch of Israeli Maccabi Tel Aviv hooligans started to misbehave in Amsterdam, and that triggered clashes between the locals in Amsterdam and people who just fed up, right? Who are not going to put up with that behavior in their own country. And that's what it seems like from the surface. It goes much deeper than that. See, I'm feeling a bunch of emotions. I am angry, I am frustrated, I am annoyed, my patience has run out, all of those things. But what struck me the most was the fabrication and the lies that were not only purported by mainstream broadcasters, who then peddled backwards, who then deleted real factual news, right? All of that. It was when we started having political people of influence from our governments, from the UN, from across the world, that also started peddling those lies. It's really, really fucking frightening, isn't it? This country, right, where these people are from, are currently, right, the IDF, Netanyahu, are currently carrying out a massacre in Gaza, three-front war also. A genocide is taking place, and that happens to be the same people, that government officials, that media broadcasters, that anybody who has an opportunity is covering for. That's the link. And what's even more grotesque and disgusting is that this wasn't about losing a football game, right? How dare they go into another country and start reducing human beings? Like, what made me completely sick to my stomach was when they're making fun of killed children, school children. Like, think about how psychotic a person needs to be to chant stuff like that, like it's a joke. Because Israel has been given the full support of Western governments, right, and can act with complete impunity, they also have to come out in defense for Israelis, even though they are the ones who are at fault, they are the ones to blame, because they cannot afford to lose further positive PR.
Yeah, man.
Currently, Netanyahu and Israel have lost any semblance of empathy from the world because of what they are doing in Gaza. I do not believe that I can trust anything that comes out of their mouth on our TVs from anywhere. They have lost all journalistic integrity as far as I'm concerned. I have not seen anything like it. Certainly not seen anything like this in my lifetime anyway. We're the entire Western Hemisphere, it seems, right? These governments, these people are completely dedicated to conceal and protect a civilization, a group of people that are happy to subjugate, to oppress, and to kill other human beings in the name of supremacy. Can't even think of the terms to describe this anymore.
She's completely right. And it takes so much I told you, like, it's a mental illness. When I see someone is bragging about killing children and says that there is no longer schools in Gaza because there is no more schools in Gaza because there is no more kids in Gaza, I think this person is mentally ill. And some people could become mentally ill like this, and they could become bloodthirsty. And don't underestimate the vileness of human beings and how far they could go. And if you read history and you see the amount of violence and bloodshed and killing of millions and millions of people, you will know that people actually can do such things. Marcel, thank you so much for your generous support. Actually, at 5 p.m. Central European time is also suits me perfectly, because I do the live streaming between 5 and 6, and then I go to the gym. At least I arrive there at like 7 p.m. I do my training 2 hours, come back, eat something, sleep, repeat. Every day is the same, basically. But if you're liking this stream, I would really appreciate it if you could hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. There is one more thing I want to shed light on, which bothers me a lot. And those so-called anti-establishment activists who gained popularity in the past few years, especially after the Corona times, and they have pretended that they are against government tyranny, against the suppression of speech, against freedom of assembly, this and that, and they gain popularity. They use their pretty faces to gain lots of popularity, of course, and their accounts were also pushed by many bigger accounts for this sake during the Corona times. And now they are the ones who are really distorting reality, and they are siding with government tyranny. So Eva Vladimir-Borek, or whatever, I just butchering Vladimir-Borek. She is completely misleading her fan base. She has around 1 million followers. Of course, Elon Musk is one of the people who keeps pushing her content. And it's not an organic, in my opinion. When Elon Musk starts pushing people, you know that there is something behind it. And she says the horrible attacks last night in Amsterdam, she's a Dutch, are a direct result of our open border policies and are a prime example of the huge issues we have been facing, specifically with the Muslim and Moroccan community. This isn't new or limited to anti-Semitism, though. Especially the Moroccan youth has been harassing, hunting down, and plaguing the native Dutch population for decades, but nobody ever cared. Those of us who dared to speak up were labeled as racists, Nazis, and were shunned. And mind you, these young migrants are often 4th or 5th generation already. You can barely call them migrants, but they are more hostile to the West than their parents and grandparents. The idea that integration comes with time is a lie that is directly refutable when looking at the situation in the Netherlands. So don't be fooled when now suddenly the very people who are responsible for this situation are going to come out and condemn it. Too little, too late. I would not have written, like, I suspect, I'm not saying now she received the script, but this is the exact Israeli same line. This is the script that Israel wants for everyone to believe, that this was something that the migrants and the refugees and the Muslims have done against the Israelis because they are Jews, right? This is just exactly in the same line of this script, and this is a blatant lie. And I replied to her, I said, this is ridiculous. You are free to dislike Middle Eastern and African migrants, refugees in your country, but you cannot fabricate the facts. In this particular case, Israeli provocateurs, some of which were Mossad and IDF soldiers, started the clashes which were preceded by racist rants, genocidal shunts, and trespassing. Do you think that the Palestinians should be exterminated as Israeli hooligans were calling for in your country, Eva? And if the Palestinians are ethnically cleansed from Gaza, where do you think they will come? You need to think twice before siding on the side of the Zionists who created big waves of refugees from the Middle East to Europe. This is the point that she cannot even point her finger at the hooligans and the provocateurs and the people who have done this. She cannot. She doesn't dare. She will lose her influencer status on X. She will be abandoned by Elon Musk and his PR team. Elon Musk, of course, he has a PR team. I'm not saying he's doing something illegal. I'm just saying Elon Musk boosts profiles and accounts on X when they are in certain political line and affiliation. And once you go out of that, you will lose that. So she's definitely making a living out of this activism, right? And one of the colleagues, Juliana, she made a great post about her, Eva's last post. She says, the last 24 hours proved yet again there is no genuine right wing in Europe. Instead of standing up for their own citizens defending against foreign thugs, these so-called patriots lined up to back Israeli hooligans, trashing their own citizens in the process. For anyone watching, it's no shocker. Europe's right is just a bought. It's just as bought and paid for as the left, all funded by the same lobby pulling strings on both sides, just like in the US. So here we are with one puppet steering up trouble, the other whining about it, and both endlessly fighting over problems they could solve in a heartbeat. The only thing both sides share, unwavering loyalty to Israel and anything Jewish. This is her assessment. Anytime Israel needs a surge of anti-Muslim sentiments in the West, these puppets beat the drum, riling people up while ignoring why migrants flood in and who is bankrolling the NGOs and keep Europe's doors wide open. Funny how that works. I also had to make a more comprehensive assessment of this right-wing influencers scene in Europe. I said, remember when certain public figures fought against tyranny during COVID, saying that lockdowns and mandates were hurting our mental health, especially the kids, and stealing our freedoms? Well, when real horrors struck, thousands of children killed in Gaza, these so-called anti-establishment voices either stayed silent or cheered on the same forces they once opposed. Why? Because many of these influencers are bought and paid for, or they are simply terrified by a backlash that could end their careers. In 2020, I was personally approached by a PR firm based in a country allied with the US and Israel, offering a lucrative deal to manage my influence on X and whitewash their clients' images. Needless to say, I didn't succumb. These big accounts you see boasting about their success, they are often propped up by PR, boosted by algorithms, and hand-fed by more powerful accounts to push a narrative. The hypocrisy has been on full display this past week. Influencers who once screamed fake news are now parroting the exact talking points of the mainstream media about the clashes in Amsterdam. They're normalizing narratives that serve the elite. More government oversight, increased surveillance and restrictions on free speech and assembly. When you read what the Prime Minister of Netherlands posted, which you can see here, the screenshot on X, you will know where this is headed. So if you see what he says, I'm speechless. Amsterdam police just confirmed that no one has been arrested during the Islamic Jew hunt in Amsterdam Thursday night. All arrests have been made before and during the soccer match and not during the pogrom. So you see where is this heading? They are going to use these guys to increase government surveillance, the grip of the security apparatuses. They will increase the restrictions on free speech and assembly. They're going to use such incidents and repeat such incidents in Europe in order to increase the grip of the security apparatuses and the surveillance apparatuses as well, digitally and also manually, humanly. So I think that these anti-establishment voices have become exactly what they claim to hate. When the chips are down, they are just another mouthpiece for the powers they once railed against. So if you know me well, and from my name also indicates that I'm an Armenian, and if you followed what happened to the Armenians 100 years ago, they have been subjected to an ethnic cleansing and the genocide by the Ottoman Empire, the young Turkish government later. And of 2 million people living in Eastern Anatolia, 500,000 people survived, right? So there were 2 million people, Armenians, living in Eastern Anatolia, and only 500,000 left. Their entire towns were ethnically cleansed. The towns were converted, and the names have changed. And every aspect of Armenian presence there, historical, cultural, civilizational, language, everything has been erased, right? So I'm also a third-generation survivor of the Armenian genocide. So from now on, guys, if anyone criticizes me here if I see any of you criticizing me on the live chat, I'm going to just whip out the victim card. I'm going just to use the whip victim card, and I will bring the memory of the Armenian genocide to justify anything I'm saying, even if I'm having a foul language, or I'm just being a jerk, whatever. If you criticize me, I'm going to bring the victim card. I'm going to remind you of the Armenian genocide, because obviously holding a century-old tragedy as my personal shield against all consequences is the way to go. So don't say I didn't warn you guys, okay? So this was, I think, all for today, guys, for today's live streaming. I really appreciate every single one of you, whether you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble. If you like this content, hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube and Rumble channels. I would really appreciate that. And if you like to support my independent work, you can become a patron. The link is scrolling on the screen, patreon.com/Syriana Analysis. And I will see you tomorrow on Tuesday, 5 p.m. Central European Time, 11 a.m. Eastern American Time. Peace be upon you and upon your families. Salam.